Well, hey, welcome back to A Work in Progress, episode 3. It's been a long time since I even recorded an episode, let alone actually release it. It's crazy what's been happening lately in the world and all this, I guess, negativity, which definitely has been sort of impacting the way that we see ourselves and see each other. With that end, I've been trying to focus on myself in uni, which is now done for the semester. So that's one semester done out of 6. Yeah. So I have 5 more to do and then I'm done my degree, which is really crazy when you think about it. If you want to use the running a marathon metaphor, the gun just shot and I've ran a couple meters out of 100, maybe 10. I'm not good at math, so if you're better at math and I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if I'm not wrong, then I'm a mathematical genius. It's the only acceptable answer for what's happening. But I actually had episode 3 already recorded from the 10th of May, over a month ago, and I was going to upload it, but I kind of stopped myself. And to be completely honest, I still don't know why I did that. I really don't know. Maybe it's just what I was talking about wasn't what I wanted to put out right now. And I wanted to just take things slow and do what I felt was the best thing to do at the time, which coincidentally was both a good choice and a bad choice. But we're not going to talk about what could have been, because I'm recording episode 3 now. So it's a reality now. Episode 3 is going to be a thing. It's interesting. It's interesting how the world is right now. I know you probably hear stuff every day about what's going on in America, or the protests like expanding to each different country, and you're probably like, oh, I'm just sick of hearing about us all negative stuff from the media and on everything. Like, I just want to escape, which I definitely feel for that. Like, that's something that I felt for, and I had to sort of take a break from that and sort of start to work on my mental health, because that was sort of deteriorating, especially with all this. So I'm pretty sure it's not too personal to tell you that I set up an appointment to go see someone, just so I can have someone to talk to about the things I've been feeling, and to sort of try and make sense of it, and to build coping mechanisms to be able to deal with that, which is definitely something I recommend, especially if you haven't done it before and you want someone to talk about, like, I don't know, maybe you feel lonely, or which is what I felt, sad, also what I felt, purposeless, and all that. Definitely would recommend talking to someone about it, anyone, whether it's a professional or your best friend or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your mum or your dad or your brother or your sister, your cousin, auntie, uncle, grandparents. Just don't talk to babies about it, because they won't understand. But I mean, if that makes you feel better, if you have like a little baby in your family, then you want to talk to about your problems. I can't really tell you if it will be helpful or not, because I haven't tried that. But I feel like seeing their blank faces just look at you I feel like that might be able to give you some pointers about what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right. But enough jokes. I actually really liked that one. That was really funny. I sort of just want to take a minute to just think about what's been happening lately, both worldwide and personal. Local is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, what's been happening locally as well. I mean, there's not really much you can say about what's been happening without it becoming redundant after a while. And I feel like everybody in italics feels the same way about what's happening. And it's good to see that we're sort of progressing. I'm not gonna sit here and talk about, how the world is and how the world should be and what we need to do differently, because frankly we have enough of that. I just want to talk about how I feel about stuff, and how I feel about this is, I mean, without getting too in depth into it, I just find it really surreal that it actually happened, in terms of George Floyd, if you're confused, you're like, wait, what are you talking about? The George Floyd situation. I know that happened a couple of weeks ago, and it probably would have been better recording an episode as it was happening, but anytime's better than never to talk about things. And I don't know, it's just really surreal to think about that. And I still haven't watched the full video because I can't pull myself to do it. But I've read the transcripts, and like it still breaks my heart to think about, because it's just something about like him calling out, like as he's dying, because he knows he's dying. It's something that it's indescribable how much that hurts. And I can't even imagine being a part of being a part of someone with him, seeing someone that go through that. I don't even know the guy. He's on a completely different side of the world to me, but still, like, but not so much touched me, but I don't really know how to describe it, but it's still something crazy to me. Like, I still can't believe it actually happened, It's definitely gobsmacked. I'm definitely gobsmacked about something. And I feel like we're talking about these things, it's important to recognize talking about it with your heart, but you also need to talk about it with your brain as well, because we make very I wouldn't say irrational decisions, but when we're emotional, we're not clear-headed. And I definitely feel a lot of emotion in the communities in America with dealing with this, and it's sad. It really is. It really is. But without getting too somber, in terms of with all this, I've been listening to a lot of Kendrick Lamar, especially his "To Pimp a Butterfly" album, because as this sort of happens, it becomes more and more relevant, which is really ironic because it's 5 years old this year, but it's still sort of relevant. I don't know if this episode is going to be dedicated to Pimp a Butterfly or not. I'll think of something really cool to put the title or something. But yeah, I've just been listening to it a lot lately, and it's it's good. It's a really good album. I highly recommend it. Like Kid See Ghosts, it's sort of a different. I guess the message is sort of still the same, depending on what you take away from it. It's more or less, without getting too hippie, it's a journey. With the album, which you're probably like sitting there like, what do you mean it's a journey? I mean, I do listen to some songs by themselves, but they make the most sense playing back to back to back. And as the saying is, from front to cover, it's a good way to listen to the album, especially because I have it on vinyl. It adds so much, and it's definitely one of my favorite Kendrick Lamar projects. Apparently, All Right from that album has been growing, which does not surprise me considering the subject matter in that song. But in my opinion, the song that touches me the most is For Sale, which is an interlude, and to be completely honest, I still don't know what that means. I imagine it's not a full song. It only goes for like a minute, 2 minutes, but it's sort of like the bridge between two different songs, where it follows the same themes, but it's such a different song, if you will, to the other songs in there. It's definitely unique and the catchiest hook, I swear, in a Kendrick Lamar song. It's good. It for those who don't know about the subject matter of the whole album, he sort of uses the metaphor of a butterfly. Basically, in a cocoon, the caterpillar in a cocoon that births into a butterfly, and he uses that metaphor to talk about the black journey, the black experience in America, because we sort of view caterpillars as transforming into something beautiful, but I guess the cocoon represents institutionalism in America and sort of changing the way that they are. But he also talks a lot about to be biblical, definitely talking to the devil. He calls the devil Lucy for Lucifer, and sort of in a lot of songs he alludes to Lucy. Lucy being your friend, like being the friend that you don't want to listen to in the back of your head, and going through with his mental illness, he begins to, I guess, not so much show, but sort of like turn to Lucy, and then starts spiraling into something bad. But he has a poem at the end of every song on the album, and each song it adds a different line, and by the end, in Mortal Man, which is like a 10-minute song and really, really good, he reads the full poem, and then he has a conversation with Tupac, which is eerily relevant now. But there's a poem in it as well, that he reads out, and I'm going to find it, and I'm going to read it to you guys, because I feel like it is highly relevant right now, and it's also a piece of poetry that I believe that everyone should hear, and it's very eye-opening. Indeed, very eye-opening. All right, so let me find it. I really should have found it beforehand, but I just thought of it now. All right. The caterpillar is a prison to the streets that conceived it. Its only job is to eat or consume everything around it. In order to protect itself from this mad city while consuming its environment, the caterpillar begins to notice ways to survive. One thing it noticed is how much the world shuns him, but praises the butterfly. The butterfly represents the talent, the thoughtfulness, and the beauty within the caterpillar. But having a harsh outlook on life, the caterpillar sees the butterfly as weak and figures out a way to pimp it to its own benefits. Already surrounded by this mad city, the caterpillar goes to work on the cocoon, which institutionalizes him. He can no longer see past his own thoughts. He's trapped. When trapped inside these walls, certain ideas take root, such as going home and bringing back new concepts to this mad city. The result? Wings begin to emerge, breaking the cycle of feeling stagnant. Finally free, the butterfly sheds light on situations that the caterpillar never considered, ending the internal struggle. Although the butterfly and the caterpillar are completely different, they are one and the same. And you're like, mind blown. And yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. You can definitely pick apart that poem and say that it's saying many things, and I can't tell you which one it is, because poetry is a form of art, and art's different for everyone, which is just a fact that we need to accept. It's different. If you go on Rap Genius and look at the song, you definitely have people who sort of try to tell you what it is and their views. But excuse me. It's different. It's different. It's different. And it's weird, right? Because while this album is talking about black pride and black love and self-love and all that, you probably think, oh, how can I relate to that? I'm not black. But it's the weird thing why I relate to this album so much, because in my own way, I definitely struggle with personal hardship and feeling alone. And I forgot the other word. It completely slipped my mind. So sorry for the long gaps in between me talking. But I relate to that 100%. And self-love, that's what I was trying to say. I definitely relate to that. Maybe less than what Kendrick himself was feeling, because everybody feels different. But I definitely relate to that. And that's the really interesting thing about music, that it sort of transcends the bounds of humans. It's like someone can make a music or art or a movie, and it's targeted towards a certain person, but it can also reach beyond that target. You know what I mean? Like, I guess the easiest way to give you an example, let's say Star Wars, right? Star Wars main character is Luke Skywalker, right? Luke Skywalker, he is a moisture farmer. His auntie and uncle are moisture farmers on a desert planet that is completely far away from anything exciting, right? And the one scene where it has Luke Skywalker standing on not so much a hill, but a little incline, and he's looking off at the twin suns as they're sunsetting, and It's that gaze that he wants something else. His life right now isn't what he wants. It's too boring for him. He wants to go out. He wants to explore. He wants to live. Is something that we can all relate to, right? I'm not a moisture farmer on on a desert, or I'm not completely isolated from anything interesting, but I definitely feel like sometimes I am isolated from everything else. I definitely feel like I want something more interesting in my life. Not to say that the film is targeted towards moisture farmers on a desert planet, because it's made on Earth, but it's sort of the same thing. But it's like, it's different characteristics that they put within the project that instead relates, and that's why I think art is one of the least discriminatory things that we have, because no matter how restrictive you make it, it still reaches way more than what you think. It's like, an artwork about something horrible happening in history that has nothing to do with your country, you could probably still relate to it. It probably has something within there that you feel within yourself. And that's the complex thing about us, is we feel internal struggle and we feel external struggle. And I feel like we shouldn't try and discredit people who have never had an external struggle, but struggle with the internal struggle. I'm saying struggle way too many times, but that's not what we need to do. We need to band together, because we're all human. We all feel, we all love, we all cry, we all laugh, we all smile, we all the opposite of smiling, frown. Yeah, frown. So what's the difference between us, Like, it's going to sound like really weird, but I don't really see a difference between me and Kendrick. You're probably like, oh, Kendrick's an amazing rapper. You're not an amazing rapper. And I'm like, well, that's not what I'm talking about. I see a man who, despite him being really good at school, which I can't relate to, he struggles with fear, anxiety, fear that, what if I'm not successful? What if I just lose everything? I can relate to that. Talking about how he metaphorically danced with the devil. I can relate to that. Talks about wanting to be proud of who you are, even though society tells you not to be. I can relate to that. And if we view ourselves through these very limiting lenses, we're not connecting anymore. That's what we need to be doing. We don't need to be dividing ourselves, because dividing ourselves has only resulted in oppression and people getting hurt and people killing people and many years of hurt for people. You can probably link that to anything in history. I'm not gonna sit here and try and dispute the claims of privilege, or trying to get oppression points and be like, haha, I'm more oppressed than you, because it's like, that doesn't matter. Don't you understand? None of that matters. And what matters is that we're all together, and we're all not trying to kill ourselves. or kill each other. We should all be together. We should all, help each other up, not push other people down to help other people up. We should be all helping everybody up. Now I'm getting really ranty and preachy, but I don't know. It's just the way I feel about it. Again, I'm not going to sit here and try and say that I have ever, been oppressed in my country, because I haven't. The country has been really grateful. I'm really grateful to be accepted into a country like this. People saying Australia is a racist country, and maybe that has some validity. Maybe it doesn't. That's not something I'm going to argue right now. Sure, my ancestors, when they got here, were hated by the Australian people. It's just the reality of the past. I don't hold that against them, for the same reason that I can understand why people feel the way they do about these certain things. Fear makes people do weird things. Fear of the unknown. And I'm not trying to, give racism an excuse, but it's like, I can understand why they feel that way about these things. And I feel like if we further understand the opposing side, then that's how we win. That's how we beat it. Because we're not shutting down the other side, putting our fingers in our ears and going la 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 la. Because that's childish. That doesn't help anyone. One could argue it helps yourself, but it doesn't. It really doesn't. And I really apologize. This is almost 30 minutes long. I was just talking, and maybe you found some of it useful. Maybe this is just a blubber of words, and you're just sitting there and you're like, what's going on? What is he talking about? I don't understand. But then maybe you're sitting there and you're like, I agree with that. This Josh guy, I agree with him. And if I can at least help one person, that is more than worth it. It's always been my look and things. If I can help one person, that's all I want. So yes, that poem that I read earlier, if you're wondering where it is, it's towards the end of Mortal Man on To Pimp a Butterfly. And I'm gonna end this with the last line of that, because I feel like that's a really good closer. Sorry, Kendrick, for copying your ending, but although the butterfly and caterpillar are completely different, they are one and the same. And it's like 40 seconds into 30 minutes, so I just want to wrap up then. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening to this. I really appreciate it. Appreciate it more than what you could imagine. I think I hit 7 or 8 subscribers, and thank you to every one of you who subscribed. It's crazy. 8 people subscribe to me. I'm beyond grateful for that. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. This really means a lot to me. I'm really glad that I can finally be doing what I want to be doing. Alright, without being too sappy, I will see you guys with episode 4 whenever episode 4 comes out. Hopefully in a week, but if things end up like how they are now, I'll see you in like another month. But hopefully in a week. Thank you so much for listening. I'm out. Peace.